in the quiet town of Elmsridge, Ontario, where maple trees stand like sentinels of fire. Each October, a traveler once stepped out of the mist. His name was Elias Marin, a man unstuck in time. He arrived without any fanfare, just as the leaves began to fall, their golden edges catching the low, gentle sun. To anyone watching, he looked like any other visitor, with his worn scarf, a weathered leather satchel, and boots that had walked countless miles. But his eyes held centuries. Elias was a time wanderer, a keeper of forgotten moments. His existence was tied to the seasons, but one, in particular, always called him home, no matter the year. Every time the wind carried that unmistakable scent of burning wood and warm apple cider, he knew he had found it again. He had found autumn. His story begins in what we might call his first fall. In the year 1896, he found himself standing on a simple dirt road, bordering a vast pumpkin field. The air was crisp, filled with the sounds of horse-drawn wagons and the distant, happy chatter of a community preparing for winter. Children, their cheeks rosy from the chill, ran through piles of leaves, their laughter echoing down the valley. Elias watched them, a gentle observer from another age. He saw a young girl, no older than 7, with bright, curious eyes, break away from her friends. She ran towards him, holding a single, perfect red maple leaf. She held it out to him, a small, trusting offering. "Keep it," she said, her voice clear as a bell. "It means you belong here." And for a time he did. He stayed until the first frost painted the windows with delicate, icy patterns. He helped the villagers mend their barns, the rhythmic sound of his hammer a steady beat against the autumn quiet. He stacked firewood, feeling the rough bark under his hands, preparing homes for the coming cold. He shared stories by the fire, though his were always carefully edited, hinting at places and times that sounded like fairy tales to the people of Elmsridge. He became a familiar, comforting presence, the quiet stranger who seemed to understand the rhythm of the season better than anyone. But his belonging was as fleeting as the autumn colors. One morning, just as the sun broke through the thick fog, the world around him began to shimmer, to lose its solid shape. The edges of the trees blurred, the sounds of the town faded into a soft hum. He felt the familiar, inexorable pull, and just as quietly as he arrived, he was gone, leaving behind only the memory of a kind stranger and a single pressed maple leaf tucked into a village girl's storybook. The world turned, decades spun by, and Elmsridge grew and changed. Then, one day, Elias was back. The year was 1954. He reappeared in a version of Elmsridge he barely recognized. The old dirt roads were now paved, and music from a new invention called the radio drifted from open windows. The air, instead of smelling of wood smoke and damp earth, now carried the sweet, tempting aroma of roasted chestnuts from a bustling local fair. He found himself drawn to a familiar location, though it looked entirely different. The vast pumpkin field he remembered was gone, replaced by a paved parking lot, next to a chromand neon diner. Inside, he slid into a booth, the red vinyl cool against his back. The world outside the window was faster, louder, but the essence of the season remained. He ordered a slice of apple pie, the cinnamon and warm fruit, a taste that transcended time. He listened to a man at the counter, a veteran with tired eyes, talking to the waitress. The man spoke of how the autumn always made him remember his childhood, the simple days of chasing falling leaves before the world grew so complicated. Elias smiled faintly to himself. He remembered too. He remembered that man's childhood, even if the man himself didn't know it. He remembered the unpaved roads and the horse-drawn wagons. The man eventually turned to Elias, offering a friendly nod. "You're not from around here, are ya?" he asked. Elias took a slow sip of his coffee before answering, his voice soft, carrying the weight of his travels. "I'm from everywhere, the leaves turn red. The man just chuckled, thinking it was a poetic way of saying he was a traveler. He had no idea how true it was. Elias stayed just long enough to see the last of the fair lights go out before the shimmer came for him once more. And so we arrive in the present day. In the familiar hum of modern life, Elias appeared again. This time he found himself wandering through the breathtaking landscapes of Algonquin Park. He held a camera, a device that felt both alien and intuitive in his hands. He was capturing the same golden light he'd once seen through the eyes of a child, and later through the eyes of a weary man in a diner. The light was the same. The colors were the same. But something was different this time. The air still carried the familiar scent of nostalgia, but it was mingled with a profound sense of peace. He had seen so many autumns, so many cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The frantic need to hold on, to capture every moment, had softened. He was no longer just an observer. He was a part of the long, unbroken story of this place. By a quiet, glass-still lake, he met a woman. She stood before an easel, her canvas a swirling, vibrant explosion of orange, crimson, and gold. She was painting the very soul of the season. She noticed him watching, and her expression was open and kind. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she said, not looking away from her work. "It feels like the whole world is holding its breath." Elias nodded. "It always does." She studied him for a moment, her artist's eye taking in his timeless face, the ancient wisdom in his gaze. "You have an interesting face," she commented. "Would you mind if I included you? A figure, standing by the trees. A traveler, perhaps." She smiled. "Would you like to be part of my portrait?" Elias felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of completion. He smiled back, a genuine, peaceful smile that reached his eyes. "Only, if you promise to remember this moment," he said. "It won't last long," and it didn't. As the final, perfect leaf from a nearby birch tree detached itself, spiraling down to touch the water's surface and sending out soft ripples, Elias felt it. The pull of time, his constant companion, but for the first time, he didn't resist it. He didn't fight it. He welcomed it, like an old friend. The season had shown him everything he needed to see, that every fall, no matter the century, is a soft, beautiful ending that always promises a rebirth. It's a lesson in letting go, as the world around him began to shimmer and fade. His last sight was the woman's painting, where a lone figure stood forever, immortalized in the heart of a Canadian autumn. And so, the story of Elias Marin, the time wanderer, continues. He is gone from our time, but he is not gone from the world. If you ever find yourself walking through the woods as the leaves begin to turn, listen closely. Somewhere in the rustle of the leaves, in the crisp scent of the air, you might still feel his presence. The traveler who walked through time forever, chasing autumns across the heart of Canada. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more tales from the quiet corners of the world. We'll see you in the next one.